I'm recording and we're ready to go. Thanks for jumping on, you guys, and welcome to our call. We have some big announcements. Drum roll. Taylor went diamond today. Woohoo! So we got to celebrate her. She's on, and it has been a long time coming for the last 3 weeks. Like, she's been so stinking close. So she has fought tooth and nail for her diamond, which is amazing. So congratulations. That's huge. Do you have any words of wisdom for all of us?
Hey y'all. So yeah, it's been a struggle just trying to keep people active and getting people re-engaged. Just the biggest thing is just to make it a community effort. Do cleanses together, do challenge groups together, get involved in the programs together, stuff like that. That's how you get your coaches re-involved and re-engaged. So that's my biggest suggestion to anybody pushing right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And then Gina went emerald, and she was actually supposed to be emerald last week, but her coaches were on the same leg, so she had to do a switch and get one on each leg, and then ta-da, she was emerald today. So she was officially emerald today, which is awesome. Super excited for her. And do we have any other rank event that I missed? No. Okay. Cool.
Okay, so Erin, one thing that I was gonna say, that there was like a graphic outline of going diamond that we saw in our push or our rise up. Do you know what I'm talking about? We'll have to see if we can find that, because I feel like that would really help for anybody who is trying to go diamond.
Okay.
Because it lays it out for you exactly where to put people, because the legs get really confusing.
Okay. Good tip. Good tip. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I think I have that somewhere, so I can find that and definitely post that so that that's easy to find. So everybody has access to it. So thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so tonight I wanted to talk a little bit about sharing your story. And I feel like at Summit, this was a huge, huge, huge topic for us. I also asked a lot of my newer coaches what they wanted to learn about tonight. And it was the same thing, like, how can I grow my business? What do I need to do to grow my business? And I feel like the number one thing to do to grow your business is to share your story. So if you were at Summit, this is mostly taken from Ashley Molstead and Emily Favre's talk. There is a little bit from Bonnie Engels, who I was in a different class or section than most of the other people who went to Summit, but her recording is not up yet, and I didn't want to just go off my notes because I really wanted to dig in deeper, when you're like writing like crazy and you can't get all the details. So I am going to wait on more of her details, and I'll share that with you another time, because it was amazing. It was also about storytelling, but it was amazing. So okay, so the first thing is facts tell, stories sell. And if you remember anything from this call, remember that. Facts tell, stories sell. So if you have a good visual, if you have a good story behind what you're posting about, that's what's going to actually create the sales and create the connection relationship, not the facts. It's not, the facts are good for a certain type of people, but usually it's the emotion behind it, right? So I am going to mute everybody. Okay, what is going on? Oh, mute all. That's what I wanted to do. Ta-da! Okay, now we don't have chirping in the background. Okay, so I back to where I was. Okay, so there's two things that you need to know. There's the difference between a business and a brand is one thing that we're going to talk about today. So a business is an organization that markets a service, product, or opportunity, which is Beachbody, right? We offer products, we offer services, our accountability groups, and opportunity like the coaching opportunity, right? That is Beachbody, is a business. A brand is a human behind those offers. So that's us as coaches, and it allows us to feel connected through a screen. So it allows people on the other side of the screen, no matter where they live, to feel connected with us. But the only way they can feel connected with us is if we share our stories and we are relatable and we get that emotion flowing into our posts, and so that they can get to know us a little bit better. So when it comes to social media, pretend that social media is a movie. Your social media is a movie, and you are the main character. So if you were to scroll through your Instagram feed, are you in, like, is your face in a majority of the pictures when you scroll through it? Like, I seriously want you guys to take 30 seconds and just look through it. Even if you think, yes, for sure, I want you to like scroll through it and see. Because a lot of times it's easier to take pictures of other people, of our kids, of our animals, of our whatever, and we're only in like 1 out of 9 pictures, even though we think we're in all of them or most of them, right? So remember, you're the main actor, and the people who are following you for a reason, and they want to see you. They don't want to see what you're looking at. They don't want to see necessarily what you're doing. They want to see your face. They want to be able to look into your eyes and really connect with that, because I think eyes have a lot to say, even through a screen, right? So when you wake up in the morning, think or ask yourself, how can I show up and serve my tribe today? So your tribe is all of your followers. So how can you personally show up and serve your tribe today? How can you be funny? How can you, there's 3 questions that Emily Favre said. How can I make them laugh? How can I make them feel what I'm feeling? And how can I change the way I feel about something? How can I change the way they feel about something, right? So being persuasive, sharing those stories, letting them know how you feel about specific things. If you ask yourself those 3 questions, kind of be entertaining a little bit, but also let them see that you have emotion and you have struggles and all of that throughout your lives, but spin it to win it. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. So how can I show up and serve my tribe today? I have learned over the last 5 years that I've been coaching that if I don't provide value, I tend to not get as much engagement with my followers as when I do provide value. So if I just post about Beachbody, my engagement drops a ton. But if I provide value, and everybody's value is going to be different, right? Depending on what you like and who you are. But for me, like, recipes is a huge value for my followers. They love healthy recipes, good tasting, quick, easy recipes, right? They're busy moms for the most part. So that is one thing that I can usually post, and I feel like I get a lot of engagement on. That's non-Beachbody related, right? So what we've talked about this a gazillion times, but think about 5 things that describe you. What makes you you? Those are the 5 things that you need to post about other than Beachbody. So sure, health and fitness, we're all passionate about that. Or maybe it's not so much even the fitness part. Maybe some of us hate working out. We just know we should, so we do it, right? But maybe it's being healthy. Maybe that's the part that, draws you into Beachbody and to be a coach or whatever. But what are the 5 things other than health and fitness that you can post about? And that just kind of narrows it down. So I've written a few things, like I'm a dog mom, I love chocolates or treats in general. It doesn't matter. I'm a mom of 3. I'm a wife. I love healthy recipes. I run on occasion, right? So things like that for me. I love adventure, although I'm very, very safe. I won't do anything too scary, but I love safe adventures, if that even makes sense. Anyway, those are things that describe me. And so you need to find those 5 things so that you have other things, and so that it seems more like a organized way in Instagram for everybody to see. So when they look at your stuff, everything looks super organized, and they see that you have a theme, and they can pick out like, oh, she's a dog mom. Here are her dogs. She's a mom and she's got kids who are busy in activities or whatever. So you've got all these other things with Beachbody intertwined. It's not Beachbody with all these other things intertwined, right? We are promoting ourselves, we are selling ourselves, and then once we have that trust built, that's where we introduce them to Beachbody and help them find their health and fitness answer that way, okay? So they talked a lot about the brand, obviously, and they talked about like kind of like your bio, right? Like, who are you? And I loved theirs. So I went ahead and tried to make up my own. I'll probably make a few adjustments, but I want to share that with you because I encourage you and challenge you to make up your own, so that you know what to post about, so that you know like who you are. Once you know who you are, then it's going to be easier to find your tribe and who you are talking to, right? The Erin before Beachbody or the Charlene before Beachbody, those are the people that we are looking for, right? So here's mine. I'm a wife, a mom of 3, chocolate loving, outspoken, introverted, healthy recipe making, mediocre running, plantar fasciitis surviving, dog mom, CEO, who loves to help others. I had to write the rest on this page. Who meets people where they're at to help others have the best quality of life they deserve. So that's mine. That describes me. And that's more than 5 things, but those are things that I can touch on. I've had, within the last 2 days, I've had 3 people reach out to me asking how my feet are from my plantar fasciitis, right? How are your feet? What did you do? Why are they better? Why are they not hurting you, right? So that is part of my tribe, those people. Like, I can help them, not Beachbody, and I can build that relationship and build that trust that way before I introduce them to Beachbody and let them know, like, this is what I'm doing now, instead of all of that pavement pounding, running, right? Constantly. So anyway, so that's another thing that I've just realized within the past few days, like, okay, I need to talk about that more, that I had plantar fasciitis and I had to stop running. And that's part of my story. Yeah. Okay, so after you get that, just think of all of those things that you are and put them down on paper so that you can read through it, so that that will help you connect with your people. And then ask yourself, what's the image I'm trying to present to the world? Like, what are you trying to present? Beachbody is a big part of our lives, but it's not our whole lives. And so that's why we need to share with the world who we are and let that Beachbody kind of integrate in with our stories, right? And why it's a part of our stories and how we got here, because we're talking to the people before we became Beachbody, like that type of person for the most part, right? So 5 things, like simple things. It could be products that you love to share. It could be leopard print. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be super simple things. Maybe you like to have different hairstyles. Maybe you love getting your nails done and you always show like your nail color that you get done. Maybe you love animals. Charlene has a garden in the summer and she has animals and she posts about that a lot. That's her life. And so she's going to connect with those type of people. Leslie is very similar. So just those different things, what makes you you? Because I don't have animals. I mean, I have 2 dogs, that's it, but I don't have cows, and I used to grow a garden, but I don't. So it's interesting to me, but Charlene will probably connect with people who want to start a garden, right? And so they're going to connect with her and be like, well, how do you grow so many green beans? What do you do with them? And how do you can them? And how do you do all this stuff? And so she can add value that way. And then they'll see her Beachbody stuff too and be like, oh, I really need to start working out too. What's this, right? So it's nice to have that easy flow conversation rather than being like out of the blue, hey, I just started following you. How are you? You want to join my accountability group? And they're like, I have no idea who you are. Like, block, right? Like, they just think you're there to sell, and that's not what we're there for. Okay. So the goal is to create fans, not just followers. And I feel, I just got a message. It was either this morning or yesterday, and it was a lady who I've reached out to, I've invited, she's doing some powerlifting, something. And so I've kind of like not really invited her, but I'll still comment on her stuff, just trying to build that friendship a little bit more, because I figure this powerlifting is probably just a phase in her life, and she'll probably stop doing that and she'll need something else later on, right? So she reached out, and she didn't say like, I want to join you at Beachbody or anything like that, but she said, I love watching your journey. Your skin looks amazing. I can't afford Beachbody, but I just love following you. Like, that's a huge compliment, right? Because we're connecting and she likes following me. So now I need to, and I messaged her back, but then you're like, well, what do you know about Beachbody? Because why can't you afford it? Because could she afford a 3-month membership? Probably, right? It's $40. And so if she's talked to a previous coach, or I need to scroll through my messages and see where we were at. But if it's the 160, maybe that was too much for her, but I could probably get her on a 3-month Beachbody on demand plan, right? So there is something for everyone. And then maybe she'll see the value in the products after that. Okay. So just remember, it doesn't always have to be a challenge pack. Those are always like the first thing I offer, but don't forget, you don't want to lose a customer, right? You want to just meet them where they're at. When you're sharing your story, it's super easy to share your wins. It's super easy to share your kid winning the gold medal, or I don't know, your kids getting straight A's, or whatever it is, you running a marathon and winning first place, right? Those are the easy things to share. But the things that really, really connect with people are the vulnerable posts that we struggle sharing. But those are usually the ones that really, really connect with people. And I feel like Crystal Plant, I don't think she's on here. I don't see her. Anyway, we've been friends super long, and she's been a coach for about a month now, a little over. But she always tells me, you are so real. You're so real. And I don't feel like I'm super like vulnerable all the time, but sometimes being vulnerable and sharing those hard parts, that's what really connects you with your followers more, because you're relatable, right? If your life is perfect, social media perfection, that's not real. So be real. Show your kids having a tantrum. Show the spilled milk. Show all of that stuff. But also remember, if it's a really, really hard time, we all have seasons, right? So spin it to win it, right? So talk about maybe how you and your husband were fighting, and you couldn't agree on something, blah, blah, blah. But talk about how you came together and how you overcame that together, because your relationship, you're not going to get along every single day 100% of the time, right? You're going to have little tiffs, you're going to have little arguments, and you don't have to necessarily go into detail what those were over. But it's nice to say we went through this hard patch and now we're back together because we did this and this and this. So let them relate to you, be vulnerable, and those hard moments. But I think another thing is you have to be really careful with those, because if you share those too often, then you're going to kind of be the Debbie Downer, right? And nobody wants to go to a page that's Debbie Downer either. So still talk about the wins. Still be happy, still be smiling, still be all of those things, but be vulnerable in between all of that, right? Another thing that they said that I really, really loved, and Brenna mentioned this in the team call last week, she said, if you are trying to talk to everyone, you are talking to no one. And I loved that because we have a brand for a reason. And there's some people that I just don't connect with. And then there's some people who I feel like they could be my very best friend, even though I've never met them before. And it's because we all connect with different types of people, and that's okay. But if you narrow in your niche, just like Brenna said, Keisha, she narrows in on the corporate working, single or engaged woman. She's got a great niche and she's got an awesome growing team because she's really narrowed that into where she's at and she can relate with them. So if you can really narrow in your niche, those 5 things that I told you to write down, then you're really going to be able to connect with your niche and you'll be able to grow a great team. You'll be able to bond and relate and know where each other's at and help boost each other up to the top. So remember, you need to be the right coach for 3 to 5 people a month, right? Depending on what your goals are. If your goal is Success Club 6, you need to be the right coach for 3 people every single month. If your goal is Success Club 10, you need to be the right coach for at least 5 people every single month. And that's not really that hard, but it's connecting and building those relationships and growing. So she shared a party analogy and I really, really liked it. So I'm going to share it too. And I just had a family party on Saturday. So I totally, it made sense in my head, right? So say you're throwing this big party. I had a big party on Saturday. I've got 1 brother and 6 sisters, right? And they all have kids and some of them are married. And then I've my parents, and we've got grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and whatever, and Ted's side of the family too, right? So we throw this big family party for my daughter, and everybody comes over, and they all sit down, and they start eating. But you, as the host, instead of enjoying the party and instead of enjoying who is there, you decide that you're going to run up and down the road, banging pots and pans, still inviting people, like banging on people's doors, like, come to our party, come to our party. You're still inviting people while everybody else is at your house enjoying your party and you're not even there, right? So make sure you're inviting people to the party, but also make sure that you're enjoying the people that are there. Don't forget the people that have already purchased. Don't forget the people in your challenge groups now. Don't forget about the people who purchased a year ago. Their Beachbody On Demand's about ready to renew. Don't forget to reach out to them and say, hey, have you seen the new MM100 workout? It's awesome and it's on a killer deal. And if you renew, you can get that and Shakeology for $60. It's amazing. That's a killer deal, right? So just don't forget about those people that you've already helped, because usually those are easier people to connect with because they've already trusted you once, right? So keep checking in with those other people. It doesn't have to be on a weekly basis, especially if they've fallen off and they've ignored you a few times, but maybe comment on their posts when you see it. Maybe I don't know, liking their posts, I don't feel like does a whole lot, but if you comment, they see that, right? So don't forget about those other people who have already joined your party. Okay. Because here's the other point to that. Because the people that are already at your party, if they're enjoying your party and they love your food and they love the conversation and they love meeting and connecting with you, they're going to share it with their friend. And then their friend's going to share it with their friend. And they're going to invite them. And then your following's going to become bigger because they're going to be like, oh, have you seen her page? It's awesome. She gives so much value. And then she's going to come and then she's going to see your stuff and she's going to be like, wait, I want to come to the party too. Can I join? Right? And so then it just makes our businesses that much easier if we can focus on the people who are already there. So they talked a lot about brighter photos. Jordan did like a little recording in Team Elevate about how she makes her photos brighter just on her phone. And I've been doing that, and I have noticed a huge difference, not so much in the engagement, but when I scroll through my own Instagram, when I creep on my own page, I notice that it is a lot more scroll stopping. Like people are going to stop and look at it because it's brighter and it's more eye-catching rather than just a dark regular photo. So if you have not seen that, go into Team Elevate, search Jordan Cox, and then look through her posts. It's a short video. I think it's 1 to 2 minutes. It's super short, but it's something easy that we can do just to make our photos that much brighter. And then once you get them to stop on your photo, that's what stops them and catches their attention, right? Is the photo, and they look at that. And then the first 1 to 2 sentences, those captions are the first ones that's going to grab their attention. And that's the deal breaker. That's where they're either going to read your post and read all of it because you caught their attention, or they're going to keep on scrolling, right? So that first 1 to 2 sentence is huge. If you can come up, like I love to share quotes there because I think it makes people curious, like, oh, what's this quote and how is she going to spin it? Like what's she taking from this quote and how is she applying it to her life, her story, and how can I apply it to mine, right? So that, really think about that first line and how you can either apply it to you or use a quote or just make it really interesting so that it makes your followers want to keep reading, because that's how they connect with you. And then make sure you go into detail. I wanted to share my screen real quick. I did this post about my family. Can you guys see this? Okay, so not that one, this one. So this is a picture from our party that we did on Saturday. These are some of my siblings. We're still missing 2, but I don't know if you guys even saw this, but my first sentence is, growing up, we didn't have it all. And then I go into detail with 8 kids, 7 girls, 1 boy. So for people with big families, I got a lot of comments on, like, I love big families. We have big families. So that's one connection that we have right there, right? We wore a lot of hand-me-downs. We shared bikes. We drove old cars that broke down and sounded like the muffler was going to fall off any second. We had to share a room and agree on what radio station to listen to on our boombox as we got ready for school. We didn't own a Nintendo. We had to ride the bus. Most of us were babysitting the neighbor kids by the time we were 10, and we had paying jobs by the time we were 14. We hardly had the latest and the best. Now, I wasn't saying that to be like, poor me, oh, my life was horrible, because I spinned it and I was like, we were loved. We always had food on the table. We had a warm bed to lay in. We learned how to work hard. We learned how to build character. We had a hardworking dad, right? So I spun it so that people knew I'm not feeling sorry for myself. Like, that's what made me me. And that's what made my family them, like, is how we grew up. So those details right there in that first paragraph, how many can relate to an old car that sounded like it was going to break down any second? Can anybody relate to that? Did anybody have an old car? I can't see very many people, but I'm assuming most people can, right? Not many of us had like a brand new car when we turned 16 to drive. How many people had to ride the bus? How many people had a boombox, right? So all of those different things, the Nintendo, like if you bring back all those words, it's going to create memories. And even though it might not be exactly the same, it's a great way to connect and relate. And so I got a lot of like my old neighbors, cousins, aunts, and people who have been following me who have bigger families to comment, who haven't commented in a really long time. So sometimes it's nice to share a little bit about your childhood so that people can see where you're coming from and why you are who you are, right? Anyway, I know I need to do better on that, but I felt like that was probably a good description of a story and how to go into detail and not just kind of barely cover the ice, right? The more details we share, the more relatable and the more that they can see it. Maybe they could see me driving an old, and maybe I should have gone into more detail, like what color was my car and what make and model was it, you know, because they could probably envision their old car too and whatever that was. So help them envision the story because we're visual learners, a lot of us. So just to close, we have about 5 minutes left, but know that being a Beachbody coach, it's not about selling the shakes. It's not about selling the products. It's not even about selling the workouts. That's not what it's about. It's about selling our lifestyle so that people can relate to those, so that they can want to do what we do, so that they can see that we are healthy and fit and we can go do things with our kids and we can have all the energy. Even though I'm 40, I see other people who are 40 and I see them exhausted and laying on the couch and not wanting to do anything. And I'm like, let's go do something. Let's go for a hike. Let's go on a bike ride. Let's go. And I think I annoy my husband probably more often than not, but I think that's a lifestyle that a lot of people crave. And so if they can see that and want that by relating to my story as a kid or when I was in college or whatever, me as a mom, then they're going to ask more questions and they're going to become more curious. And then that's when I'm going to sell more Beachbody. Does that make sense? So Ashley said, it's not about Success Club. It's not about rank advancing or elite. It's not what they can do for you. If you share your life, they will relate to you, trust you, and someday they will join you. And I really liked that. So are there any questions, comments? Does anybody want to share anything that has worked for them? Okay, I want to share one last thing. I shared this in my personally sponsored page. I got this planner. It's called the Rise Up Planner. It's by Moira Kusaba, and I have really, really been enjoying it. So I just wanted to share it with you. When I bought it, it was on sale, but it's got a lot of what Brenna talked about, you know, those affirmations in the morning, your vision, your goals, like to read through those every single morning. And this is one place that you can have them and keep them when you're drinking your Energize, just to read through them, say them out loud, and all of that stuff. And I really feel like that is the mindset. If you start your day out, and even the B100 book, right? Those positive affirmations for the day, if you write that every single day, you're going to start your day so much better. And if you can just refresh that through your head every day, it will be huge all day long. You'll be able to focus on the positive rather than the negative, because we all have lots of negative things coming at us. But if we can really focus on the positive things, we'll be so much better off and our lives will be so much happier. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. If there's nothing else, then I will let you go. We've got 2 minutes left, then we're going to be cut off anyway. So thank you. I'm going to stop the recording.